Stop this get right. Stop this get right.
All right, all right, all right. We're going to kick off very soon. Find a seat if you haven't already, and we'll see you in 60 seconds.
Where is this going? Oh, we're on the wrong window. I can also do this. Here, we're back. We're back. Oh. We were just focused on that window, so that's why. Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah. So, I have a clicker here. Oh, we can use this one. Which one do you want to use?
Clicker sounds great. Can I just look at it?
Yeah.
So you advance from here.
All right, we need a little bit more room. If we could please scoot together, I would appreciate it greatly. If there are seats in the middle, we could raise hands, or we could scooch, or provide a little bit more room. God bless.
I know that when we hear the words, hey, let's scoot in, it's really easy to just like look around and then not scoot in, but we really do mean it. So if there is a seat next to you, pick up your booty, be pirate themed, and scooch it over, because we are a little bit shy on seats today. We want some seats to be on the outside. We don't want people getting on toes.
There's a real crowd, please. Small world, all the friends know of me. Young bull living like an old keys. Quick release the cash, watch it fall slowly. Bright girl still trying to get in.
Hello, 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 and welcome. Hi, I'm Alyssa Nichol, and this is...
I am Mike Hardington.
And we are your captains on today's ng-conf adventure. Welcome, everyone.
Well, captain, first mate, I definitely didn't fit the attire. I think I got like colonial person. You definitely got the pirate vibe.
Listen, I requested a live parrot and a plank, and I'm hoping they'll be installed at some point today, so we'll see. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited for today's show. We have a couple of notes to get to before our amazing keynote.
So we're going to start off. Remember, we do have a code of conduct. Be excellent to each other. We shouldn't have any issues, but if you do, unfortunately, have an issue, find us, find some of the staff, let them know, and we'll get it all situated.
Absolutely. For show flow today, it's a little bit of an unusual flow, so I want to give you a heads up. We have our talks per usual, an hour lunch, and then ng-conf is doing a stage takeover right here. So next door, you'll grab your lunch. You can go out on the patio, get some fresh air. You can be in the lunchroom, or you can even bring your food back here if you're a little bit late to lunch. And NX will have a little mini-conf here, and then after that, ng-conf talks will resume, and we will break for dinner. Dinner time is also a little unusual. There are options here on campus that you can walk to. They will be busy. If you have a car, you could also drive into town for a less busy option. And we're all meeting up for an 8 p.m.
Party. And we're going to have some karaoke. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a game show. It's going to be over at the golf clubhouse.
Yep, at 8 p.m. So
it's a little walkover.
Make sure you're back by then. We're going to have some amazing prizes, fun games. Wordly? Shall we talk of Wordly? I think we have a Wordly slide.
What is Wordly?
So Wordly is a really cool, I think Bree is the one who brought it into our existence. Thank you, Bree. But it is for live captioning. So if you need live captioning during shows, you can scan the QR code, and as the speakers are speaking, you can have the live captions on your own device. So, and then lastly, the Discord, I believe we have a QR code for that as well. Maybe? Yes? Discord QR code. Excellent. I think that's all of our show notes. Are we ready for our first keynote, everyone? Can we all put our hands together?
Come on. Are you ready?
I can't hear you.
Oh, we're not going to sing
Yeah,
the song.
I don't-
Nickelodeon's notoriously litigious. So.
Yeah, he told me that Nickelodeon wouldn't let us, but
Yeah.
maybe.
So we're going to welcome to the stage Mr. Mark Techson.
Woo! Let's go, Mark!
Oh, they got the shanty going for me. Listen, friends, let's go ahead and do something for me. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm excited to be here, but I need you to rub your hands together. You already know what I need. Rub them together. Trust me. Just trust me. There you go. And on the count of 3, we're gonna do a big, giant clap together. 1, 2, 3. All right, see, I like to do that because I like to get the energy flowing in the morning. That's why I said, trust me, because it's gonna be a really good time. So let's get started with this keynote. I love the slides that we put together. Let's see. We do gotta fix my typo. No, they're telling my jokes already before I get to tell them. Let's see if we can switch over to my slides and not the speaker notes. All right. Let me do something for you, friends. Let's do this real quick. Hold on. All right, we'll get it sorted. Are y'all ready for some action? This is how you know things are live. This is exactly how you know. Because ain't... You tell some pirate jokes while I figure out how we need to get this thing sorted.
I can be really loud, though. I mean, I don't...
We have big voices. We can do this.
All right. How much did the pirate pay for his hook and peg leg?
How much?
An arm and a leg.
Tell another joke.
Sorry, let's get a better one. You ready to go? Okay.
Tell another joke.
What is a pirate's favorite programming language?
Ooh, C#?
You think it'd be R, but its first true love is the mighty C.
Don't tell that one no
I
more.
like delivery on that.
Boo.
I didn't say boo, I just said don't tell that one no more. I said
All right, why do pirates make terrible singers? Oh, they can't hit the high C's. Hey, all right, your turn.
Okay, let's see what do we got.
We're almost there, friends. A couple more jokes. Go for it.
Why don't pirates shower before walking the plank?
Why?
They just wash up on shore.
That was rough. Give me that. Give me it back. It was funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think tonight I did want to talk a little bit about the party, so I'll use this time to do that. We have NX covering karaoke, and yeah, can we give it? Yeah, who all actually does karaoke? I do not. I don't partake. Yeah, we got some. I just am one of those witnesses. I witnessed karaoke happen. Are you ready?
I'm born ready.
All right, can we please do this again? We're going to take it from the top, even with his intro music. Can we welcome to the stage the amazing, the brilliant Mark Techson?
I gotta tell y'all a quick story about being born ready. So she said, are you ready? I said, yeah, I'm born ready. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. It's a true story. Everybody locked in with me. When I was born, I remember this. This is a true story. The doctor looked at my mother and they were in a panic. And then they said, well, mother's like, what's wrong, doctor? What's wrong? And the doctor goes, he's ready. Because I was born ready. On my slides, as you saw in my speaker notes, there is a typo that I want to address. I joined this community 5 years ago when I joined Google, and it has been my true honor and pleasure to serve this community, and now as our Angular DevRel lead. I am embracing that mission even more, and I'm excited for the next chapter of what we'll be able to do, not only on the team, but together as a community. Yeah, that's where you clap again. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about what's next in Angular, because we have a lot of really cool stuff coming up. Our next release is in November. So what are some of the things that are coming? And this is one of the, I know, go ahead, give it up. Listen, I love when I see people excited about the work that our team is doing. So Signal Forms is a huge deal, because we want to provide something special for you all. Because we're thinking about how to provide a declarative and reactive, right? Declarative and reactive, two pillars of this new Signal Forms. And you get to power it by Signal data. Signals were such a big part of our story, and now we're bringing it to Forms. It's going to be really exciting. So if you haven't seen Signal Forms yet, let me give you just a quick preview. First things first, you define your form model and a signal in a way that makes sense, in an interoperable way with the rest of your template. This makes sense to us. And then when you're ready, you create a form and you pass in a signal. That's it. Think about how special it is, and then when you're ready to link it in your template, we're ready to bind it. We got a field keyword. Field directive here. So now when you mention it, it's going to link in to that property. Now, I want to warn you all about something. This is not going into production. It's not landing as stable in V21. Let me tell you how I know about you all as a community. You all love to take the things that we say are experimental and say, yeah, the Angular team's pretty good. We can use it in production. Please don't do that, because here's something that, don't do it. Here's something that happened to me in preparing this. I was like, you know what, let me make sure all the demos, all the code works. And I typed bracket. And what do you think I typed next? Control. And I was like, why isn't this working? And then I had to dig into the source code myself and figure out why it wasn't working, because we changed the name to field. Because when something is experimental, that's letting you know that we are probably going to change it in some way. And that was a pretty significant way, because people have already made videos, blogs, and all these things, and all of that stuff is wrong now. It's all wrong. So when we say experimental, we mean experimental. But if you want to learn even more about this, my colleague Kirill is here, has a talk. He's going to do a deep dive. So you want to be in the building for that. Who's heard? Go ahead and clap. I love the energy. You can clap as much as you want. I will never get tired of hearing the applause for this team. So if you want to clap more, you can clap until your hands are nice and bright red. That's fine. Who's heard of Angular Aria? Let me see. Okay, a few hands. So some of you didn't clap because you were like, well, what is this? I don't even know what this is. Let's talk about it. Here's what we heard, because you as a community are very vocal with us, which is what I love about the Angular community. You all do not pull any punches. Here's a comment. All right, we want easier component style. We want it to be more accessible and easier to style. Guess who said this? Everybody. Everybody, all of you have been talking about this. Every time we talked about the CDK or we released a material component, you all came back like it's hard to style. It is hard to style. It is hard to style. Mark, did you know it was hard to style? That's what we keep hearing. But guess what? Angular Aria is a library of headless directives for common accessibility patterns. A whole library of these things. Wait. No, that's a dramatic pause, not a pause for applause. That's just a dramatic pause. This, when we say no style, bring your own style, that is true. So you can style these things with, if you want to use Tailwind, you want to use some other library that you like, you want to use your own styles. Yeah, I see some eyebrows up like, really? No, we're serious about this. Angular Aria is going to change the way that you're able to use some of the directives that we're creating and how you build your accessible applications. So you bring your design system, apply them to Angular Aria. Here's what it looks like. This is a very simplistic example of using Angular Aria. We have a list box, a directive applied to a div, and then inside for one of the values, we have the ng option. Behind the scenes, we take care of the rest to set it up to make it accessible for you. And we add the functionality, and then you bring the magic. You bring the styles. Now, at launch, this is the list that we have right now, but more may be coming. We're working really hard on this behind the scenes. You got some really fantastic people on the team working very, very hard to make this a reality for your friends. So, very exciting, something to look forward to. Oh, that was so unexpected. Oh my gosh, so great. But this isn't even the whole story. You know why? We have even more than just these things that I talked about. These are just some previews of what we have going on, but there's even more happening. So you definitely want to tune into our very special Angular V21 event. We're doing something that we've never done before. We think you're really going to like it. If you want to keep track of it, head over to goo.gle/Angular-V21, and then you'll get to learn more when the time is right, coming up this November. So we talk about what's next. What about what's now? What's happening now? We do a lot of stuff. We do so much stuff that we get a lot of comments about how much we release. I never thought we'd live in such a world where people were like, stop releasing. No more new features. No, more new features. So let's talk about more of the things that we released this year that may have gone under the radar for you. So there are some recently stable APIs that we love to highlight. We got Zoneless in the building. Who's excited about Zoneless? Zoneless is incredible. This is an incredible leap forward. Some people didn't even think we could do it. There was some doubt that it was possible, and then here we are. I can tell you this. I've been working for 20 years as an engineer, literally 20 years. These are some of the smartest, most hardworking and diligent people I've ever worked with, and it is literally an honor to work with these people because we take some of the hardest problems and we just keep working until we figure it out. But I'm going to tell you something. Zoneless is more than just change detection, because that's the first thing that comes to mind is that my performance is taking a hit because of change detection. Well, let's talk about more there. So you got the improved performance because, yes, change detection will run less frequently, so you will see some performance improvements that way. But guess what else you will see? You'll see improved core web vitals. The bundle sizes will be smaller. People think, I'm just dramatic. I like to pause, don't worry. But I appreciate it, though. Like, I appreciate it. I'm just dramatic. You're going to improve debugging experience. Who here is so ready to be overlooking through a stack trace that has nothing to do with their application? Okay. You got it. You're welcome. Okay. And then we got better ecosystem compatibility. One of the things that we've been forced to do in some situations is things like async await. When we introduced that, we had to do some magic behind the scenes to down level those APIs because what? We had to monkey pass them because of the way the zones work. So now that zones won't be a part of the picture anymore, now we'll be able to remove those types of limitations, those types of extra work. When new APIs come out, we won't have the same extra work to support them. This is a big win not only for Angular developers, but just for your development experience in general. Let's talk about how to get zoneless right now. If you want to do it right now and you're using the latest version of Angular, it's a quite complex setup, so I had to put some slides together. Make sure you get your notebooks out. You're probably going to take some notes here, maybe take some pictures. Okay, get yourself ready. First, where you bootstrap your application, in your component, you got to do change detection strategy on push. Now, this isn't strictly required, but it works best if you do this. Okay, not strictly required, but do this. This is a good thing. Then, in bootstrap application, provide zoneless change detection. And then you're done. That's it. Yeah, okay. That's the time right there. There you go. And then finally, if you want to improve that bundle size, you remove the dependency. But I got to say something. While we have outgrown zoneless in the scale of our applications, don't forget that zones were a magical part of Angular for a long time. They allowed us to change our application state data and not even think about how to propagate it around the application. It created a developer experience that people had not seen before. Sure, we outgrew it because what you built outscaled what was possible. But let's not forget the really great engineering that went into this. So I want to say thank you to the Zone.js team who's been maintaining it and supporting it for all these years. Let's give them a round of applause. Let's talk a little bit about signals. Effect and link signal are moving to stable, which is really exciting. And we know that's very, very exciting. We know with effect, one of the things we were working on was a timing issue. A lot of you reported it, and we knew about it, and we really worked hard on it. But effect had been in developer preview this whole time. I know, it's hard to believe, but y'all were still using it in production and then getting mad at us. Effect, linked signal, both are now ready for production. Let's talk about incremental hydration. I love this feature, and I still look at it as pure magic. And it's industry leading in a way, because where else can you do what I'm going to show you? You could have a web page like this, render the screen, render all the components on the screen, but not ship the JavaScript. So you can render this and not load the JavaScript. And this isn't even the whole page hydration. This is just a section. And then on top of that, you can go even further and define the criteria by which this gets rendered. That is from the future. That is from the future in terms of technology. Think about that, because most hydration, what do you have to do? Whole page. We're like, hey, you know what? Choose the parts of your application that you want to render when you're ready based on your conditions. Using syntax that we already introduced, the defer keyword, and then you can say where to do it, hydrate when you enter the viewport or prefetch on idle, you get to decide. That's what makes it so special. And then you can decide what gets displayed. Again, stable, ready for production. Hybrid rendering, we're taking a hybrid rendering story. Our server-side story, we're taking it literally to the next level. And here are some other things that are stable and ready for you to use in your applications. Now you can have route level rendering configuration. So let's say you want something to render on the client, you can specify it. Or you may say, I wanted to render the pre-render it, static render it, specify it. Or maybe you want to render it on the server. You have so many options to configure a highly performant application for your users. Stable, ready for production. Now, these are big things that we've done, but what about some of the just quality of life things that we've been working on to improve your experience as developers? Now, with dynamic components, you can add bindings and directives. Now, I didn't know how much y'all like this, but then somebody tweeted about this. Our friend Thomas tweeted, look at that, emoji like, oh, I can do this insane dynamic UI is unlocked. That's amazing. We love to see what you all can build with the new features that we ship. Lord, I have always found this to be one of the most frustrating parts for me whenever I'm building applications in Angular. Type narrowing on event.target, like you know, like as a developer, you know what's coming in through that target, and you're just like, please, could you please just let me type it? Do I have to do all this other stuff? Do I gotta like get really lazy and just put any and then typecast it later? Like we gotta do all these things. We don't want to do that anymore. Fine, we've improved this. This is better now. So now you get type narrowing on event.target. What about host bindings? Anybody ever had a host binding and found out at the last minute that maybe you had something that wasn't defined, you referenced a property that didn't exist? Well, now fixed. You can do this now. Now we have type checking in our host binding. So you try to reference something, not the right type, or you try to reference something that doesn't exist, you get an error in your IDE. So during your development, you just have a better experience. Now this one, I didn't know, again, that people were really excited about this, but I looked into our GitHub issues. We had somebody in 2013 asking for else if as an alias. Not 2013, sorry, 2023. Asking for as in the else if. Okay, fine. First you can do this, and people are like, oh, if can do as, and you can do an alias there. Okay, fine. This is what y'all kept saying. I want an alias right here. This is where I want it. Make it happen, Angular team. Okay, fine, we did. So now you can do this. Very exciting. Another quality of life improvement. It's going to work in your benefit. Now let's talk about this. Aria, bindings without the adder keyword. You can do this. This is another small thing, but I think it's going to improve your quality of life. Top-level form array. So if you're using one of the other form systems, you need something like this. Anybody wanted this? Let me see a show of hands if you've been looking for this. That's what I'm talking about. People want this. Don't look around, all right? Because some of y'all looked around like, wait, I didn't want this. It wasn't me. Who are the people? Hey, listen, for the people who wanted it, now you have it. All right, tooling has improved. Tooling has improved. Hot module replaces HMR. We've improved the different ways you can do it. First, we had it with just form data. Then we had it with just style. So now we just expanded. Again, better experience. We continue to work on this. We're always going to continue to see where we can push the boundaries on your developer experience. Dev tools are bananas right now. Angular dev tools are literally bananas. We have been cooking on Angular dev tools. Let me show you some of the things. Let me prove it to you. First, signal visualization. So as your signal graph grows, you're going to have more questions about what data is where. Boom, visualization. What about your routes? You've thought about this, and you asked about this. Like, okay, how about my routing structure? As my route configuration grows, as my application grows and scales, I need to know more about the routes. You got it. What about defer visualization? So maybe you're interested to see what happens with defer. So you have something being deferred, loaded, but when does it load? What's being loaded? You want more insight. Now you have visualization for that. Here's what something like that looks like. You can see where the placeholder is involved, and then you can see where it switches to the component. Better developer experience. Things just continue to get more and more awesome. And this is something that I feel like it was worked on, and not enough people in the streets went as wild as I thought they would about this one. This one was really special. This one was really special. The performance panel in Chrome DevTools, you have a custom Angular track now. And what makes this really interesting is that when you look at that flame chart, you'll be able to see this in language and in structure that you understand as an Angular developer, so you can see it down to your components, for example. You get to see the details, what's taking time, which parts are from different libraries, what's things that you wrote that may be going slow. Okay, it's okay. And then what things are you like, look, that's not even me. You could tell your manager, like, look, this is not even me. This is the library we brought in, and I got the data to prove it. All right, so this is really, really exciting. So definitely check out the new performance panel in Chrome DevTools for the custom Angular track. Animations got better. Animations got better. When we built the animations package, we were solving for a specific problem. And the problem was that the developers wanted to do things like control the flow of animations as things entered the DOM and exited the DOM. So we were trying to build almost like a bridge between what we wanted to happen and what was possible at the time. But since the time of the animations module, guess what? CSS has gotten amazing. And there are just things that you can do now that you could not do then. And so we're like, well, how can we step out of the way and let what CSS does best handle the story now? So now we got two new directives. We got enter and leave. Well, you got in and out, sorry. Wait, did I say that backwards? I don't know. You can write in the YouTube comments if I said it wrong. That's fine. All right. If you want something to go in, you can define either in one of two ways right now. You can provide a class where you can maybe define all of your styles and keyframes if you want. Or guess what you can do? Maybe you have an animate function because you're using some programmatic animations. Maybe you're using something like anime.js and you want to use one of those functions inside. So now you get to do that. And the same thing goes with out. You get the same option there. Very excited. See, that's what I like. I like that energy. I like when people are really pumped up about these things because they can feel how it improves their work. Less workarounds. Right? Less workarounds. All right, let's keep going. I got quoted this week in a news article because of what I said about this. And it was true, but it just is so amazing how excited you all are about V-test support. So we have moved forward with our experiment with V-test support. So you can check out what's coming up very, very soon. We just merged some PRs. It is not our final choice just yet, but we are literally trying to decide. I was in the meeting and I was saying, okay, let's make a choice. And we're like, okay, we should make a choice. I'm like, okay, let's make it now. And they're like, hey, but we got some other valid concerns. And that's the one thing about working on a team like this. I have a vision for what I think we can do, and then we talk about it, and then we might find out that, oh, I don't see the full picture. So there are some really cool things that we're thinking about, and we are going to continue to push forward. And right now, we're seeing some really cool things that we want to do with V-Test. So V-Test support, getting better, and we got some migrations coming, some really cool ideas. All right. Whew, that was a lot of features. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's talk about the AI story. As developers, it is unavoidable to talk about AI, but I think what we've been doing on the Angular team is a really nice way and a really thoughtful way to incorporate AI. So let's talk about some of the things that we've done and how we think it'll make your development experience better. So first, there is angular.dev/AI, where you can find a lot of information. You can find best practices. You can find code samples. You can find prompts. So you can find a lot of cool stuff. So let's talk about that. So for example, prompts and context are really important right now, because if you're working with a model that is not specialized to maybe your specific tool, you got to provide prompts and context. So how do you get that if you want to generate Angular code, for example? Well, you head over to our best practices prompts page on angular.dev/AI. So we give you our finely tuned best practices prompt. Not going to flood your whole context window. Do not go and grab our LLMs.txt and paste it into your context window and then get mad at us and say, why are you burning up all my tokens? Somebody did that for real. They got mad at me for this. And they was like, oh, you know, we got to put this whole thing. It doesn't work. I'm like, it wasn't meant for that. We have this for you. We have this for you. So check out the best practices prompt. Very cool stuff. But let's say you're working in an IDE that is AI powered. Maybe you want a rules file for that IDE. We have those as well. So you can get started with one of those, which is really, really cool. Really exciting here. Guess what else? So let's talk about code generation, because one thing that I heard quite a bit about was, well, I want to generate code using some of Google's tools, for example. Like, what about Gemini Canvas? I want to generate apps in Gemini Canvas. Well, you can. In your prompt to Gemini Canvas, if you say build the whatever you want, give it your prompt and just say in Angular, it now builds in Angular. Which is like, Mark, what about AI Studio? All right, let's talk about it. Well, now, if you go into the settings, you get to choose Angular from the prompt there. So you get to pick Angular, and it also will generate code in Angular. So now if you want to prototype quickly, this is how you can make it happen. Now, when I said that we have our fine-tuned best practices prompt, you might ask yourself, why do I say fine-tuned? How do I know? What makes it fine-tuned? Is it because it's what we think? Is it just our opinion? Right? Which is a valid question. Actually, we made a tool called the Web Code Gen Scorer. This tool, one, is an open source evals tool that we made for web apps. Open source. So what we did was like, okay, we're going to get evidence to support that this is the prompt that you need, that these set of tokens that we give you is what you need to generate high-quality web applications with Angular. It runs hundreds of example prompts and applications, and then it scores them and reports back. And here's what's wild. We thought it was so helpful, we were like, we're going to make it available to anybody who has a web framework. So now you can configure this tool to work with whatever web framework you want and whatever model you want. Here's an example of one of the prompts. So we could ask it to do something like develop an ASCII art generator, and then we give it the prompt, and then we end up getting a report back that scores across a few things. So things like, did it build successfully? Were there any runtime exceptions? Was there sufficient code size? Was there the right number of generated files? We even have security audits that we do on these applications. Really, really exciting stuff. So here's like one of the runs from way back in September. But as you can see, there's this distribution of, okay, so with this version of the prompt that we had at that time, what did that distribution look like? And that's really short. That's like 97% of the applications scored good or greater. Good or greater. Only 3% maybe had some unexpected error, right? But that's the nature of code generation in general, that you're going to have some divergence from, or some unpredictability there, some non-determinism. But as you can see, this can be configured. You have a choice to configure that. It gets your distribution. So we found this to be true, that LLM models are great for Angular developers. It's totally possible. And if you want to learn more about the Web Code Gen Scorer, it is open source. So you can have a look yourself. And you can say, OK, yes, I like the methodology that they're using. Or you can even suggest open PRs and say, here's some ways we think we can even improve this. We worked with the Solid team on this. And we were like, hey, try this thing out. Configure it for Solid, run it, and let's see what happens. And then Dev ends up sharing this really great tweet where he's like, oh, actually, LLMs create more than just one framework code, even though the world would like you to believe that it only does one framework. We've got an MCP server, which is really rad. I'm just showing it running here in the Gemini CLI. But we got some cool commands that are out, and we're working on more commands and features. MCP, Model Context Protocol. Okay? A way for you to have your agents interact with your projects. Then we got a really rad project that I absolutely love, made by one of our colleagues here, Devin, the AI Tutor, just a way for you to have an agent help coach you in an application. So if you want to ask some questions and learn how to build Angular, maybe you have some new team members you want to onboard. Or maybe you yourself are like, man, I want to level up a bit. What can I do? You got the AI Tutor, which is also available now in the MCP server as well. Now, if you want to learn even more about like AI, there's a really great talk by my good friend and colleague Devin later today about architect or assembler your role in the AI future. He gave this talk, and he was telling me about it, and rave reviews. People are loving this talk, so I think you're going to really have a great time. Definitely check that one out. All right. We have an RFC open right now. It's about how do you build AI-enabled applications. And what we would love for you to do is head over to this URL and reply to this RFC, because we really value your feedback. Every time we open an RFC, we listen. We listen. And we take in consideration what the people are saying. So definitely go ahead and check out this RFC, leave your feedback. We can't wait to hear what you think. This is really, and I do mean this is just the beginning of our AI story. When I say that we're constantly talking and thinking critically about this, this is literally, almost every day, I'm in some type of conversation thinking about how do we make this the best for Angular developers? How do we use AI to serve our community for now and for the future? We're excited about the world where developers have the tools that they need to build what they dream of. And you are a part of that future. That's the future that we see. You're a part of that future. And we just want to make sure the tools that we build and provide help you get there. All right, so that's enough for me. I am going to transition over and invite my first manager at Google. Then he became my colleague, and then he just became my friend. Please give an enormous, thunderous round of applause for Minko Gechev.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Minko, as Mark said, and I'm really excited to be here today. In my part of the presentation, I'm going to share some of the early exploration that I have been doing in the AI-driven productivity space. But before that, I wanted to acknowledge that we're here today at ng-conf 2025. This is a very, very special ng-conf for me. Pretty much every ng-conf is special for me, but this is my 10th year anniversary at ng-conf. I joined here for the first time back in 2016 when I was an independent developer, I was a freelancer, and I built a tool called Colorizer, which was inspired by the Angular style guide that I worked on together with the Angular team. Colorizer would parse your Angular components, and after analyzing the abstract syntax tree, it would produce some diagnostics. Just curious, does anyone remember Colorizer here? Oh, wow, nice. The year after, I was working on source code visualization, kind of inspired by compilers, and I played with similar transformation. This time, taking Angular components, actually the whole application, converting that to AST again, and generating something different. Let me show you what that thing was. I would generate a virtual world out of your Angular application. This is your about module right here. And every component is a different, every tree is a different component. Based on the size of the template of the component, you have different size of trees, Christmas trees. And that was Christmas edition. And the toys represent directives on elements. So whether you have a directive on an element or not, that's going to be shown right there. It was fun to build it. I also had tree shaking at some point, as you can imagine. So you can shake the tree and delete some code. And yeah, this just continued. 2016, Colorizer. After that, source code visualization. I announced my startup at ng-conf. So ng-conf was a big deal. The year after, I ended up joining the Angular team. After that, we had a couple of pretty rough years around COVID with online editions. We rebranded Angular, and this just continued. So now I have taken a new role. I will be the technical lead across our web and multi-platform frameworks, which means that I'll be around a little bit less frequently. But still, the Angular team is in the amazing hands of Mark, Simona, and Jeremy, so I'm pretty confident about the bright future of Angular. Some of the things that I have been working on right now are around figuring out whether we can make developers, web developers specifically, more productive with AI. And well, I've been looking at a lot of agentic tooling. I'm just curious, how many of you are using AI in some form? Yeah. And how many of you are using agentic IDEs? Great. And how many of you think that AI is completely overhyped at times? Right? Yeah, me too. But there are certainly some use cases for which AI can definitely make us more productive. And usually an agentic workflow looks like this. We, as users of the agent, we will pass a prompt. The agent will collect some initial context based on our prompt, system instructions, and its environment. And it will pass it to the LLM. The LLM is going to create a plan on how to execute our prompt. And the agent is going to enter a loop in which it is going to start executing the plan, potentially altering new steps, by using tools that we have provided. So how can we improve this agentic workflow as framework developers or application developers? Well, the two main ways are by adding new tools so that we can make the agent more capable, or also by writing better documentation so that we can enable the different LLM model providers to train the model over it, or provide RAC for new information that the model has never been trained on. This is retrieval augmented generation. I'm going to quickly look at the first method, specifically in developing tools to support agents. Because the most popular, the most straightforward way to do that is by building a MCP server, which MCP server provides a list of tools. For example, the Angular CLI MCP server would enable you to look up documentation, best practices, and also has this fantastic tutor that I've been having a lot of fun with, learning new Angular APIs. So the agent is going to connect to the MCP server, look at the list of tools. It is going to add them to the set of tools that it already has. And next time it queries the large language model, it is going to tell it, hey, here are the tools that I have available. Help me pick one of these tools that are going to help to address the user prompt. One thing about these tools right now, if you look at agentic IDs, agentic workflows, is that most of the time they're interacting primarily with the file system. If we look at Cloud Code or Gemini CLI, we'll see that we often edit files, read files, and have web search eventually for new information that is not available in the training corpus for the LLM. But there is a big missing opportunity, which is around understanding the runtime. We're going to go way beyond the source code of the project that way. For example, when you build an application, you would write your TypeScript code. As you all know now, we're going to transform this into some intermediate representation. But when you execute the source code, like when we go through the compilation step and we run the code in the browser, we're going to build a bunch of internal data structures, such as the component tree right here, or the injector tree. And Angular has a bunch of other internal data structures that are even more low level. Once Angular has created these data structures, it will traverse them and render your application. That's pretty much how everything works under the hood. And there is so much cool stuff that you can do with these data structures. Like, for example, Angular DevTools uses them in order to provide you better, deeper insights into the reactivity graph or your component tree or your injector tree, helps to debug different issues. So what we can do is provide access to the large language models, to these internal data structures. So let's say you have the prompt, write test with the current component state, with the state of the component as it looks right now. If you do that in Cursor, let's say, what Cursor would likely do is open a headless browser, open the page, look at your component, and try to guess what its state is based on wherever it sees in the template, which is only part of the story, because the component has way more state, and it has just decided to display this particular state that Cursor currently sees. Significantly more powerful workflow would be to pass this prompt to your favorite agentic tool. From there, it can connect to Chrome via MCP, and it can interact with the same debugging APIs that we have exposed for Angular DevTools, so that we can serialize the component tree, we can serialize the component state, and pass it back to the agent, and create a test for you. Now, I wanted to share with you some of my early hypotheses for future developer workflows. I definitely don't think that AI is even near to a point in which we'll be able to just let it do our jobs for us. But we can certainly benefit from AI in certain use cases. Usually when we're talking about agentic workflows and autonomy in them, we have this axis where on the left-hand side, we have a very hands-on workflow. You would author every single line of code in your application. You would write all of your tests. You would run your application, open Chrome, inspect your application, debug it with Lighthouse and with the performance panel. You do everything manually. And on the right-hand side, we have entirely autonomous workflow. So you enter a prompt, build me a $1 billion company, and you wake up in the morning and you're a billionaire. That would be wonderful. So we're not there yet. With some of the tools that we're using today, we're more on the left side of the spectrum. We would enable the generative AI to create a lot of code for us, write a lot of code for us. After that, we'll have to review every single line of code because we don't know what it wrote. We'll have to ensure that it doesn't have any security vulnerabilities, any accessibility issues, and so on and so forth. But for certain use cases, as I mentioned, the risk is a little bit lower. So in my opinion, actually, us as developers, as web developers, we can benefit the most of using our browser as the ID, primarily because we will be building our application in the context into which the user is using it. Now, if we're building our application within the user context, this means that we'll be using it all the time. A good analogy is with the Angular team. On the Angular team, we have been creating a framework. So we're not necessarily building web apps, we're building a framework. But what makes us better developers of this framework is by using it to build web applications. In a similar way, if you're building a web app and you're using this web app all the time, you just see all the annoying issues that are happening within this application, and you just fix them. We'll not focus only on the low-level abstractions and how beautifully they get composed together. Let me just show you an example. So here I have a web app which looks like it is inspired by Google Cloud Console. You can navigate within this application, and at a certain point, you may decide to add new functionality. So you click on the button at the bottom. You open this chat UI, which has an inspector similar to what you'd see in Angular DevTools. And in the prompt, you can just enter your intent. Create a new Cloud Run form for the associated page. Make sure you only use the components that I have provided, and add a link in the navigation. From there, the agent is going to start operating. It is going to enter its agentic loop. It is going to discover the relevant files and writing some code for you. At some point, you're going to see the link in the navigation. And you'll be able to go click on this link and engage with the experience. Now, this is pretty low-stake implementation, pretty low-stake functionality. Here, you will just build something that provides some input to the user. Probably you wouldn't want to do that with the most critical business logic that you have, but it is going to enable you to quickly scaffold something within the user, within the context in which the user is engaged with it. And the most powerful thing about it is that this agent has access to every single component instance in your application, all the runtime data. It can also see your routing tree, and it can see your injector tree with all your services and all their internal state. So that way, in terms of level of autonomy for this specific workflow, I'll say we're probably somewhere around here. That's great because, well, we often create forms every day, so wouldn't it be nicer if something can speed that development process a little bit up? Now I'll show you how we can move the needle a little bit further to the right. There are some workflows for which I've been performing the same manual set of steps every time. I'll see a style on my page that is a little bit off, so I'll open Chrome DevTools. I'll start adjusting the styles by inspecting the elements and tuning my CSS. Right after that, what I'll do is open my favorite text editor or IDE, WebStorm, VS Code. And from there, I will try to identify the exact same component, the exact same CSS to apply the changes and finally get the desired UI in the browser. Kind of pretty annoying, very manual. I think it might be even more powerful if you do something like this. Let's see if I'll be able to show you what that is. Here we go. So here I have UI that certainly doesn't look great, like these green cards are suboptimal. I can just improve the component styles. Did anyone hear anything? Yeah. OK, good. And here's what the agent does. It improved my component styles. Like, not a complicated task. Like, you don't need a computer science degree to do that. So why not let the agent do that for us? The fun thing about this demo is that I didn't have to run it 15 times to get the result that I want. It actually worked out pretty much immediately. The LLM was smart enough to figure out what are the right styles for my component. So these are some of the early kind of developer workflow enhancements that we're experimenting with in order to ensure that we're ready for the new era of AI. One thing is that Angular is very deeply embedded in Google. And Google itself has been an AI company, AI-first company for quite some time now. Sundar announced it years ago. So Google is very heavily invested in improving our developer experience and our lives with AI. Angular, at the same time, has been this evergreen framework with evergreen ecosystem. We have been working very hard on the ng update experience so that we can enable you to always use the latest features and APIs that we provide. So I'd say combining these two is, in fact, pretty powerful. Like, web development is certainly changing. I know things could be overhyped, but we can definitely leverage AI to become more productive. The cool thing is that Angular is here to pave the way by incorporating some of the learnings that we have at Google. And I'm pretty excited about it. As for me, I definitely have had like countless of memories with thousands of community members on hundreds of different events. And it has been a huge honor to serve the Angular community and to advance the web development together. And I'm looking forward to another, at least a decade of pushing the web forward. Thank you so much.
Just making sure everyone's awake.
Oh, that was a beautiful, absolute, Mark's technical overview of what has been and is coming our way in Angular was insightful. And Minko's recap of 10 years at ng-conf.
I do have one correction for Mark. He said CSS got better. CSS has always been amazing. Everyone needs to learn CSS better.
We heard some negative chuckles. I know that's a thing, so I don't know if everyone's in agreement. But that was absolutely beautiful. I think we are good to go on our next speaker. Do we have
our next speaker?
Our next speaker? Sorry, I wanted to see if this is the old laptop. We need to do a laptop swap. Laptop swap. But anyways, that was absolutely beautiful recap of the last 10 years that Minko did. And just 10 years, that's incredible, Minko. So, and thank you both for coming on. We are going to get our next speaker up. Awesome! All right, we're gonna get plugged in. Let's do some house music, and how about everybody take a quick 60-second stretch of the legs?
Stretch?
House
How's
music?
everyone feel?
Thank you.